Recently, I've noticed a trend where people start things that they've always wanted to do, despite being in their 20s or 30s or too old. Take John Glad, for example. He hadn't skated since he was a kid, and he decided to pick it back up. And in the past couple months, I've watched his journey from just picking up a skateboard to being able to do all these tricks and becoming a really decent skater. Another one that's really inspired me is one of my favorite YouTubers decided that she wanted to be a DJ. She had always wanted to be a DJ, but she was too scared that she wasn't going to be good, that she was 28, 30 years old, and she was too old to become good because she didn't start as a kid. But then she decided she was going to take 6 months, 8 months, a year, and give it everything that she had and just lay it out all on the table to see where she could get. And that got me thinking. There's this goal that I've been mulling over, trying to decide if it's too brazen, because I didn't start the sport when I was a kid. I started it last year. I didn't have special coaches. I didn't even know how to swim before I ran my first Ironman. But seeing this, thinking about it, I've decided I'm going to give it that 6 months, 8 months, a year. I'm going to give it everything that I have. Nothing left on the table. In 2021, I became an Ironman. And by October 18th, 2022, my 24th birthday, I will have qualified for the Ironman World Championships. Let's get started.
Well done.
So I bet you're asking, who the hell are you and how did you get here? So my name is Madison. I'm 23 years old and I'm a grad student at the University of Chicago. In May of 2021, I competed in my first Ironman in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I finished with a time of 14 hours and 15 minutes. It was awesome. It was a riot. I just wanted to finish underneath the cutoff time. The cutoff time is 17 hours, so I was really, really happy with my performance that day. But just like they say you will, when you finish an Ironman, you want more. And more for me is to compete. I want to be one of the best people in my age group, and obviously I want to qualify for Ironman World Championships. And there's 3 things that I'm going to focus on this next year to really achieve that goal. The first thing, nutrition. I'm the first to admit that I have not really been keen on focusing on my nutrition. I can eat better. I need to focus on my protein. I need to focus on my macronutrients. And I know that I'll just lean out 10 to 15 pounds and I'll be a more efficient runner and just a stronger, better athlete. And that won't actually take much. It will just take me being more mindful about what I'm eating and why I'm eating it. The second thing is training. So obviously there's 3 parts to an Ironman. So the first part is the swim. So I finished the swim in 1 hour and 29 minutes, which I was really, really pleased with. I didn't even know how to swim before I started training for an Ironman. I could doggy paddle, I could survive, but I really had never learned how to swim despite growing up in Michigan, the Great Lakes state. But there was 2 rookie mistakes that I really made that day that they tell you over and over again not to make. One was that was the first time that I ever open water swim. I don't know what else to say. I got in the water. It was murky brown. I was with hundreds of other people and I just kind of freaked out. So I really think just not freaking out, I probably spent 10 or 15 minutes just saying like, holy crap, like why am I doing this? I could definitely cut off 10 or 15 minutes just from having some more practice open water swimming. So the second thing is the wetsuit. They tell you not to show up the day of the race and wear your wetsuit for the first time, but that's exactly what I did. I showed up, I put my wetsuit on. It's the first time I ever swam my wetsuit, and it was a little too big, filled up with water. Definitely didn't know how to swim in a wetsuit. So I am definitely going to buy a new wetsuit and hopefully swim a couple times before my race in June. And last is just, I know that every single time I get in the water, I get better at swimming. Every time I touch it, I just feel more comfortable. I get faster, I see results. And I go through these phases of really hating swimming and loving swimming. And I'm just really gonna emphasize just not missing a workout just because I don't feel like it. I definitely had those phases last year. It's cold in Chicago, but I'm really just gonna focus on this is what I want and this is what we're gonna get. So the second leg is obviously the bike. And I finished the bike in 7 hours and 10 minutes. And I really think this is where I have the most potential for pure speed and power improvement. So Tulsa was a really hilly course. There was a lot of elevation gain and it was a lot of fun going up and down. But I was just a novice biker. I actually started biking in COVID, and it's what really got me into Ironman. And I started biking on this bike that was actually 2 dumpster bikes made into one. So I had gained some weight during COVID. I wasn't running anymore and I was living with my parents at the time, and I just really wanted a bike. But there was a bike shortage. And my dad's friend was nice enough, he found 2 dumpster bikes and he took the good parts of both and made my beloved dumpster bike. And so I took this bike out every single day. I rode it up and down this trail. There was nothing else to do during COVID. I rode it 20 miles up and down this trail every single day. It was the one place that I could go during COVID. And it's this dumpster bike. You had to click it into gear all the time because it would fall out of gear. It was heavy, but it was lovely. I love this bike. And actually, I dedicate all of my fitness to this dumpster bike. And then finally, by the end of the summer, I was so in love with riding a bike, I decided to invest in this guy, the Weapon, and I love it so much. But there's 1 or 2 things that I think I could really improve on the bike. So with the bike, and I have the Woohoo kicker, I think there was definitely a learning curve on why I was doing the workouts I was doing, and that cadence and power are important. So I definitely didn't really care about cadence in my workouts, even though my coach had posted them for me. I just didn't understand why when I have the leg muscle to power through. And I definitely noticed in Tulsa, I was just powering through pure strength up and down these hills, and other people were saving their energy by going at a higher cadence. So I definitely know now that those workouts are really important, and I think I have really great potential of increasing my FTP and decreasing that time. And then second, my bike handling skills. I had no bike handling skills when I went into Tulsa, and I came out with a lot of bike handling skills. 112 miles will do that for you. But I had to stop every single time I needed a bottle of water, things like that, because I could only ride with both hands on my bike, which is such a novice move. And I didn't clip in, even though I had my clipless shoes, because I was so afraid of not being able to clip out and then just tumbling over. So I'm definitely gonna ride my bike more outside, get used to those shoes, and just really hone in on those workouts, especially the sweet spot workouts and the cadence workouts this year. Learning curve's over, there's no excuses now, so I'm really just gonna get started being the best biker I could be, and hopefully cut off an hour and a half of my time, because I'm strong and I have endurance. It's just how to execute that on the bike. So I'm really optimistic about that. So last but not least is the run. I finished the run in Tulsa in 5 hours and 14 minutes. It was my first marathon ever. I didn't think that was that bad, but I honestly could have ran 30 to 40 minutes faster that day. I got off the bike, I realized I had so much time that I could just enjoy my time, and I'm really happy that's how I executed it that day. And it's probably one of the most memorable parts of my day. About 13 miles in, I ran into these 2 older fellows, probably in their 50s, and I just started running with them the whole time. One of the guys was actually from Chicago, and I just chatted with him the whole time. We stuck together, and we probably ran the last 10-15 miles in together. And I was just having a great time, waving to people, smiling. It was awesome. I was tired, but I definitely could have ran more. We ran and walked together. We wanted to stick together. And I'll always remember him. I'll put a picture of him in here. Thanks, Patrick. But running is what originally got me started into sports. I played a lot of sports growing up, but my senior year of high school, I decided to run cross country. And then I ran cross country at my undergrad for a few years, and I really fell in love with running and the Alma community, just the running community there. And it really made me see that I'm an athlete. I can compete. I can do whatever I set my mind to. So I think this year, just taking my workouts really seriously, just becoming a better runner, actually competing. So I knew my goal that day was to finish, and I knew I was going to finish, so I just decided to enjoy it. Now I want to compete, so I'm going to get off that bike. I'm going to run. Even if I have to run my own race, that's what I want to do. I'm hoping for maybe a 4-hour marathon. Some of my running goals outside of this year is to complete 2,022 miles of mileage this year. I want to run a 5:40 mile time. I think that's pretty doable. And I just really want to start enjoying running again. I just recently recovered from COVID. And I had my first run back today. And it really made me realize how much I love running and how thankful I am to have the lungs and the body that allow me to run. I know a lot of people don't have that. So I'm pretty optimistic about that too. It's just putting in the work, trying your best. And I think training in those 3 disciplines, I have an awesome coach. She knows everything. She's a great triathlete herself, and she answers every single question that I ever have. So just trusting in her, respecting the workouts that she writes me, and just not leaving anything else out on the table for myself. There's no excuses this year. Lionel Sanders always says no limits. There's no limits. There's no excuses. So we talked about nutrition, we talked about training, and now let's talk about execution. So the third and final pillar of this is execution. And I keep saying this word over and over again and talking about training, but what I'm talking about is controlling the controllables. There's a lot of things that I can control. I can control that I train to my best ability. I give everything my best shot. I can control that I'm eating the right things, that I'm practicing my nutrition on the bike, in the run, that I'm surrounding myself with people who are supportive. This is my last year where my life is wide open. In August, I start my first big kid job, and I will never have more time than I have right now as a grad student. My life is pretty flexible. I have time to pursue what I want to pursue, and this is what I want to do. In 2022, I am going to qualify for the Ironman World Championships. We have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of hours to put in, and we have to improve a lot. But I'm excited. I'm optimistic, and I want to take you on this journey with me. So what else is there to say except let's get started.